watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel's army chief vows to hit back Iran if it retaliates. US expresses concerns over the situation in Northern Gaza. US presidential election race enters the last leg. Trump and Harris trade bitter attacks. EU slaps tariffs on Chinese EVs, risking Beijing payback. The United States has expressed concern about the loss of lives in an Israeli strike on a residential building in Northern Gaza. At least 93 people were dead and several were reported missing after the strike hit Beit Lahia city on Tuesday. The Israeli military has been operating in Northern Gaza in recent days, targeting Hamas. The Israeli military acknowledged reports of civilians harmed in the airstrike, stating that the details of the incident were under investigation. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that U.S. officials had reached out to the government of Israel to ask what happened, adding that he could not speak about the total death toll.
We are deeply concerned by the loss of civilian life in this incident. We have reached out to the government of Israel to ask what happened here, and Israel has decimated Hamas's military capabilities. And all of that, getting to here, came at great cost to civilians in Gaza, which is, of course, often the case when civilians are caught in the crossfire in conflict. And it is another reminder of why we need to see an end to this war.
Meanwhile, in Lebanon, Hezbollah has named Naim Qassem as its new leader, but Israel has said that its tenure would be temporary, an apparent threat after it killed his predecessor Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut over a month ago. Qassem was appointed as Hezbollah's deputy chief in 1991 by the group's then Secretary General Abbas al-Musawi, who was killed by an Israeli helicopter attack the following year. Qassem remained in his role when Nasrallah became the leader and has long been one of Hezbollah's leading spokesmen. Since Nasrallah's killing, Qassem has given 3 televised addresses, including one on October 8th, in which he said that he supported efforts to reach a ceasefire for Lebanon. Israel continued its campaign against Hezbollah with new strikes in southern Lebanon. Plumes of smoke were visible from Lebanon's Marayun as Israeli strikes hit the outskirts of Khiam village near the border with Israel on Tuesday. Cross-border fighting between Israel and Hezbollah began a year ago when the group started firing rockets in support of Gaza's Palestinian terrorist group Hamas. At the beginning of October, Israel launched a ground operation within Lebanon to attempt to stabilize the border area for Israeli citizens who had fled rocket attacks in northern Israel. Also, Israel's military chief has warned Iran to stand down from any retaliation for Israel's airstrikes near Tehran last week, which followed an Iranian missile barrage on October 1st. Let's get you updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Or before that, we will get you the soundbite of Israel's military chief, who has warned Iran to stand down from any retaliation for Israel's airstrikes near Tehran last week, which followed the Iranian missile barrage on October 1st.
If Iran makes the mistake of launching another missile barrage at Israel, we will once again know how to reach Iran with capabilities that we did not even use this time, and strike very, very hard at both their capabilities and locations that we set aside for now.
All right, let's get you updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russia on Tuesday said that its forces had seized control of the town of Seledov in eastern Ukraine and had been under sustained attack over the last week. Russian Defense Minister Andriy Beluzov also congratulated Russia's 114th Motorized Rifle Brigade on taking Hirnik, Ukraine's military did not comment directly on the Russian claims, but reported 31 combat clashes on Pokrovsk front during the past 24 hours, including near Seladov. Ukraine's deep state open source intelligence map showed part of Seladov as being under Russian control, with about a third as a grey zone. President Vladimir Putin kicked off the training exercise on Tuesday at a critical point in the Ukraine conflict. Russia's defense minister, Andrei Belosov, said that the exercise is aimed to stimulate a massive nuclear strike in response to a first strike by an enemy. The Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, said that the drill was a regular planned event and it involved the launch of ballistic missile and cruise missiles. Defense Ministry further added that as part of the exercise, a Yars intercontinental ballistic missile was launched from the Plesek Cosmodrome in northwest Russia to the Kura test range in Kamchatka in the Far East. US President Joe Biden has expressed concerns about the presence of North Korean troops in Russia, saying that Ukraine should strike back if the troops crossed into the country.
Mr. President, are you worried about the North Korean troops in Kursk, in Russia?
I am concerned about it, yes.
Should the Ukrainians strike back?
They crossed into Ukraine, yes.
While Pentagon spokesperson Patrick Ryder said that a relatively small number of these troops were already present in the Kursk region.
We are concerned that they do intend to employ these forces in combat against the Ukrainians, or at least support combat operations against the Ukrainians in the Kursk region. So as of right now, it remains to be seen exactly how the Russians and the North Koreans will employ these forces. But as it relates to the use of weapons, first of all, I would highlight that the weapons and capabilities that the United States and other international partners have provided to Ukraine are Ukrainian weapons and Ukrainian capabilities. And we've been very clear that Ukraine is able to employ those capabilities to defend their sovereign territory from threats that are either emanating from across the border or inside Ukrainian territory.
Let's get you updates on the U.S. presidential election now. With the race neck and neck, both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are ramping up their campaigns in the final days. Kamala Harris cast the U.S. election as a choice between freedom and chaos in her final big pitch to voters in Washington, D.C. Addressing a crowd of thousands, Harris says that it is time to turn the page on the drama and the conflict.
1 week from today, you will have the chance to make a decision that directly impacts your life, the life of your family, and the future of this country we love. And it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. And this election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates. It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division.
Earlier, Donald Trump defended his New York rally as a love fest despite criticism sparked by comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, calling the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage. Despite a firestorm of outrage on social media from Democrats as well as some leading Republicans, Trump made no apology for the racist comments. Instead, he brushed off the critics who compared it to a 1939 Nazi event at the arena.
The love in that room, it was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in. But politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, they started to say, well, in 1939, the Nazis used Madison Square Garden. Well, many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever had love like that. That was love in the room, and it was love for our country.
In the wake of the upcoming election, several celebrities have voiced their hopes and concerns about the issues they want the next president to tackle. Celebrities like Oscar winner Matt Damon, Sir Ian McKellen, and also more shared their presidential priorities.
Well, I wish somebody would talk about our $34 trillion debt, because that's a lot of money. And if half our tax base is just servicing that debt, that's a problem. It doesn't seem to be getting smaller. So definitely, I'd love someone to mention that. I haven't heard a single person mention that yet. It's a lot of money. So yeah, that'd start there.
We have one planet. We have one planet, right? And whatever we need to do to safeguard where we are, where we live, and how do we not only preserve what's right outside our door, but how do we preserve what's on the other side of the world? Because one side can't fall and another one survive, right? Balance, to me, is sort of like the great equalizer. That's right. So I'm looking at things through that lens right now.
I mean, there's so many issues to focus on. At this point, it's about peace for me across the board. So,
personally, I think that there's a lot that everyone can be doing to make the world better for somebody. Of course, there are like the general themes, but I think the main focus that every human can do is to really just treat somebody else the way that they would want to be treated.
Amid hectic electioneering is underway all across the United States. What are the thoughts in the mind of a first-time voter in these presidential elections? DD India's correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh speaks with a young voter to find out.
We are in Atlanta. This is the key swing state of Georgia. I have with me a first-time voter, Issikor, who's here with us. Issikor, you cast your ballot for the first time. What was the experience like?
It was pretty easy. You get a card, you put it in the machine, tap a couple boxes on a tablet, and then you're done. It prints out your paper, you put it in the ballot machine. That's it.
First time vote, hugely important. How did you go about deciding who to choose? What research, what work went into that?
It's really hard to do your research because a lot of the news sources and information sources are really biased right now. You have Twitter, you have other social medias, and you have news outlets which are more entertainment than fact now. So it's really hard to get the full picture.
And Issikor, finally, there's so many issues at the heart of these elections. What one issue mattered to you the most when you cast your very first ballot?
A lot of the issues that mattered to me the most were ones where it shouldn't have been an issue, like abortion rights. I don't think that anyone should be able to control someone else's, if they're having a baby or not, because that's a lot of trouble to go through. It's a lot of pain. It could put your life at risk. It could put your well-being at risk. If you're not prepared to have it, then you should have every right to not have it.
Issikor, thank you very much for speaking with DD India. That was first-time voter here in Atlanta talking about his experience and the issues at the heart of these crucial presidential elections. With camera person Jaishankar, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Atlanta.
The issue of illegal immigrants has taken center stage in U.S. presidential elections. Donald Trump has promised to crack down on illegal immigration and restrict legal immigration if elected as president. All along his campaign, he has been vilifying the immigrants and has pledged to launch the largest deportation effort in the U.S. history. To gauge what American voters think about the issue, DD India's Amritpal Singh travels to the U.S.-Mexico border, from where most of the illegal crossing over into the U.S. takes place. Let's take a listen in.
I'm right now standing at the US-Mexico border. What you see behind me is that bridge which connects the United States of America with Mexico. Now, as the issue of immigration or illegal immigration has taken center stage in these elections, especially with Donald Trump raking it up, Kamala Harris is also treading soft on the issue, saying she realizes the immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed, and she will bring a bill on it and sign it into a law if the Congress passes it. But is that really an issue which matters to the Americans? The Americans say migrants, illegal or legal, contribute much to their society.
they're not our problem. Like, in reality, they were from America.
It's just so dehumanizing. We're a nation of immigrants.
But there are others who have bought into Trump.
There's been occasions where you see illegals running up and down here with no clothes on, carrying bags. There's also been issues with illegals jumping in people's backyards, hiding in people's vehicles. And so you're asking if that's an issue? Yes, absolutely, it's an issue.
Then there are those who disagree with Trump's radical proposals but say the immigration system needs to be fixed.
I think immigration is good, not an open border with people rushing through.
So what you see behind me is the Rio Grande River, hardly a river, just a stream that divides Mexico and the United States of America. It is just knee-deep water that can be easily crossed over. That is why you see the kind of illegal immigration through the southern border of Mexico. But the U.S. also has a fence, but it has surveillance here. You can see security cameras. You can see the border patrol personnel. If the Department of Homeland Security's 2022 data is to be believed, there are 11 million illegal migrants in United States of America, and that is why Donald Trump realizes this issue can be raked up to get votes to come into his kitty. Statistics from the U.S. Homeland Security, however, indicate that there is no direct link between crime and immigrants, any more than it is for naturalized U.S. citizens. Whatever the reality, immigration has become a contentious issue in this election season. The question is, will it lead to significant political dividend for Donald Trump? With cameraman Sanjay Jaina, Amritpal Singh from the Mexico-US border in Texas.
U.S. federal authorities are investigating fires set at 2 ballot drop boxes in Portland and Oregon and nearby Vancouver, Washington. In Portland, an incendiary device damaged a ballot box, though most ballots were preserved. In Vancouver, a ballot box near a bus station was also set on fire, impacting hundreds of ballots. Washington Secretary of State condemned these attacks, affirming election security, and said that both local and federal law enforcement are involved. With just 1 week to go until the U.S. election, hundreds of thousands of ballots are flooding into ballot processing centers around the country as millions of Americans cast their votes early. In Sri Lanka, postal voting for the general elections will take place today at all the police stations, district secretariats and election commission offices. Postal ballots will also be marked on 1st and 4th of November at these offices and Tri-Forces camps. The Election Commission has said that a total of about 7.3 lakh government employees are eligible to mark their choices through postal voting. And for those unable to vote on these dates, an alternative arrangement is available on 7th and 8th of November. The general elections are scheduled to be held on 14th of November to elect 225 parliamentarians. Bangladesh Law Affairs Advisor of the Interim Government of Bangladesh, Asif Nazrul, said on Tuesday that a search committee has been formed to establish the Election Commission. The advisor to the media in Dhaka, after a meeting with visiting UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, said that the interim government's election journey to hold the next general election has started. The High Commissioner is on a 2-day official visit to Bangladesh. He further added that after the formation of the search committee, the Election Commission will be constituted, followed by an update in the voter list. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Gujarat and to lay the foundation stone of various infrastructural and development projects. India's Defence Minister to visit Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh to interact with armed forces personnel stationed in the area. Countries launched Nature Coalition at COP16 talks, even as attention focuses on human extinction.
Who will be the next president of United States of America?
Will Donald Trump make a dramatic comeback, or will Kamala Harris become America's first woman president?
It's a tight race to the White House.
The knives are out and the battle lines sharply drawn.
He's becoming increasingly unstable and unhinged.
She's a threat to democracy because she shouldn't even be the candidate.
I'm Amritpal Singh.
I'm Shubhendu Ghosh.
We travel across the United States
To decode the issues at the heart of this polarized election.
Watch this space only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to the Indian state of Gujarat. The Prime Minister will inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of various infrastructural and developmental projects. These projects are worth over 280 crore rupees and these will be inaugurated at Ekta Nagar. These projects aim to enhance the tourist experience, improve accessibility and also support sustainability initiatives in the area. Later, Prime Minister Modi will also address the officer trainees of the 99th Common Foundation course in Arambh 6.0. On Thursday, Prime Minister will participate in Rashtra Ekta Divas celebrations and will offer floral tributes at the Statue of Unity. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal is visiting Saudi Arabia to explore new avenues of economic cooperation. During the visit, Minister Goyal will also participate in the 8th edition of the Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh. The minister will also hold bilateral meetings with key Saudi ministers to discuss collaborative efforts in energy transition, digital transformation and trade facilitation. He will co-chair the second ministerial meeting of the Economy and Investment Committee under the India-Saudi Strategic Partnership Council, focusing on sectors like agriculture, food security, energy, technology and infrastructure. The minister will also unveil the One District, One Product wall at the Indian Embassy. India's Defence Minister Rajat Singh, accompanied by Minister of Parliamentary Affairs Kiran Rijiju, has departed New Delhi for a two-day visit to Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. In a post on social media platform X, Rajat Singh said that he looked forward to interact with armed forces personnel stationed in the area. During the visit, the minister will also attend the inauguration of a museum dedicated to the Major Ralangnau Bob Khating, a distinguished Indian Army officer honoured for his bravery. India's Minister of State for Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Kirti Vardhan Singh, delivered India's national statement during the plenary session of the UN Biodiversity Conference COP16 at Cali, Colombia. In his address, the minister noted that India has been at the forefront of taking initiatives, executing programs and fostering collaborations to conserve our rich biodiversity. He highlighted that initiatives like Mission Life, that is Lifestyle for the Environment, International Big Cat Alliance, Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam or Plant for Mother campaign and Namami Gange program stand as a testament to India's commitment to the cause. Colombia at the UN COP16 biodiversity talks on Tuesday launched a coalition with 20 other countries seeking to make peace with nature. The coalition includes countries from 4 continents including Mexico, Sweden, Uganda and Chile, although none from Asia Pacific. At the COP16 biodiversity talks, leaders warned that the rapid destruction of the environment risks humanity's extinction. The coalition is open to countries that agree to a set of principles aimed at changing humanity's relationship with nature. Now, that includes marshalling money towards conservation and sustainable development, cooperating internationally and mobilizing all of their society towards preserving nature. The summit of nearly 200 countries underway in Cali is tasked out with figuring out how to halt the decline of nature by 2030 as humans drive habitat loss, climate change, pollution and other activities that destroy biodiversity. The European Union has imposed hefty extra tariff up to 35.3% on Chinese-made electric cars after an anti-subsidy probe concluded Beijing's support undercut European automakers. Now, the EU has set out extra tariffs ranging from 7.8% for Tesla, while 35.3% for China's SAIC, that is SAIC, that too on top of EU standard 10% car import duty, making it over 45% for China. The European Commission said the tariffs are required to counter what it says are unfair subsidies, including preferential financing and grants, as well as land, batteries and raw materials at below market prices. The China Chamber of Commerce to the EU said that it was profoundly disappointed by the protectionist and arbitrary EU measures. Beijing launched its own probes this year into imports of EU brandy, dairy and pork products in apparent retaliation. It has also challenged the EU's provisional measures at the World Trade Organization. The Uttar Pradesh government is all set to attend a Guinness World Record by trying to light over 28 lakh earthen lamps in Ayodhya on the occasion of Deepotsav. For Deep Mahotsav, Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Ram, gets lit up with dazzling display of diyas every year, marking the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya after his exile and victory over Ravan. The banks of the Saryu River get adorned with intricate rangoli designs and vibrant decoration, creating a mesmerizing sight for the onlookers and gathering devotees and tourists from across the country. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.